I'm Rick Mancrush. I'm here with Jay Biglove. Tonight on the show, we have a man that is so notorious that he doesn't even have a real name. In fact, you have never revealed your true identity to anyone. That said, you are pretty popular in the urban explorer scene, and here he is, the man shroud in mystery, the Unknown Cameraman. This is poop culture, man. What is going on?
Man, how you guys doing?
How long have you been doing this for?
I mean, we started the channel in 2011. Then that was kind of just when we started filming it. Me and my buddies have tried to figure it out. I mean, we had done it probably 10 years ago, maybe longer. We just didn't know it was a thing. We were just like, hey, look at this creepy old abandoned house. Let's go in there. Why not? Let's see what it looks like. So it wasn't until after I started making the videos I kind of looked it up, and I was like, oh, this is actually a whole thing. Like, people actually do this.
I had never heard of it until about 2 weeks ago. But before we get into all that, I just need to know, first things first, we were just talking to you a couple seconds beforehand, and I think you can go into it now a little bit more, but what's up with all the anonymity? Are you like on the run from the law or what, man? Like,
are you Edward Snowden?
What's the deal?
Tell the truth.
I mean, if I was, I wouldn't be able to say. You know, Big Brother's listening. So it really didn't start as any big thing. It was mostly like, hey, we're going to be putting something on the internet. It's the internet. Let's not put our names all over it.
That's cool though, and you stuck with it the whole time, which is pretty awesome. I mean, most people would, after a while, would just want to kind of drop it just for, notoriety or whatever, but that's cool that you guys stuck with the whole thing. What is urban exploration for the people that don't know? And being an urban explorer, it makes me think of like friggin' like Dora the Explorer or something, but I did come across the word, you guys call it like urbex or urbex.
Urbex, yeah, just kind of combining the two words.
Right. Is that preferred?
I guess it's really whoever. I don't really know.
All right.
It seems to be what the kids are calling it. So it's shorter. You can, if you're into hashtagging and all that, I guess you could say urbex. Urbex is just short for urban exploration, and it kind of covers two things. There's the side where, maybe you're just a little bit of an adrenaline junkie and it's fun just kind of sneaking around, going somewhere you're not supposed to go. But there's the other side to it that really makes it not just trespassing or whatever else it would be, is the interest in, I guess, historic preservation, that the places you're going, for the most part, are almost from like a different time. You're seeing stuff that has been inactive since maybe the 70s, and you're seeing, old computers, old devices and things like that. And by going in there and filming it, taking pictures, whatever it is you do, you're almost getting the last look at this dying generation or whatever it would be. And then you could take it even one step further, and this is probably my favorite part about it, where you could look at it like investigative journalism or expose journalism. When we go into some of these hospitals, there's HIPAA laws. It's like the Health Insurance Portability Accountability Act.
Right. Yep.
And when the hospital closes, they say, oh yeah, don't worry, all of the private records, all of the medication, all of that stuff has been safely transported somewhere, safely secured. We go in and there's social security numbers, there's like psychotropic what do you call it, electroshock therapy medication, there's blood slides, like everything is left behind. So by going in there and filming it, it's basically like saying, hey, look, they lied to you, all of this shit is here. And I've read all these stories of people that exploit that. They go in, they steal blank prescription forms, they have all the doctor identification numbers, they have copies of their signatures that they can forge, and people will take shit from there, go to CVS or wherever, and write themselves prescriptions.
People listening to podcasts are taking notes to what you're saying.
So,
like, oh, okay.
So that's the hookup. That's how.
Well, I know that's true though. I do have experience with that, being in a hospital that was closed, and them having left virtually everything for the most part in the hospital. But that's a good description of what you guys do. I guess the last part is your favorite, the whole historical side.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's what makes it worth filming. There's at least some part of it that makes you want to share it with other people that are just, years from now, people are like, oh, after it's demolished or whatever it is, that you can go back and say, here is exactly what it looked like. You've seen pictures of the outside. Everybody always wonders, like, oh, what would be in there? And it's like, here you go. This is your own personal tour of the place. So,
have you had any trouble, like you said, like without, I guess, documentation and doing it kind of as like a historical reference? You mean it could just be called trespassing, right?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely could call it that. I mean,
I'm not calling it that. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's only against the law if you get caught. So
I think the phrase is you're only in trouble if you get caught. Still, but it's okay. I guess what you mean. But have you had any problems, any run-ins with the law while you're doing this?
We've been pretty lucky. There's been numerous times that we kind of dodged security or dodged police after they showed up. The only time that we actually ran into them, this was kind of a crazy day. This was over in Merchantville. I'm not sure how close you guys are to that. It's like over by like the Camden area.
Yeah. Camden. I went there for vacation. Great place.
Vacation. So there was an elementary school getting demolished there, and I was like, oh, I gotta check this out. So we show up, and it's actually being demolished. The cranes are there. They're tearing it down, and I was like, oh man, I missed it. I don't want to go home without it. So I was like, let's just go. I mean, they're tearing down that side. Let's go in this side. And we were actually inside the building as it was being torn down. So there's walls missing and stuff. Somebody saw us in there. They called the cops. So we're walking around, and then all of a sudden we see 4 cops. I don't know how many were out there, and they're all screaming at us and come out. So we walk out, and they're giving us a hard time. And then luckily there was kind of like a good cop, bad cop situation going on. Basically, he said, look, there's not one no trespassing sign around here. So if you did try to fight this, you would win. So just leave. Just get out of here.
Oh, so that's as close as you getting in any trouble so far?
That was the closest. I don't seem to recall them even. They may have checked our IDs or something. So somewhere there might be a report. I guess I shouldn't go into that much detail. No, there's definitely not a report. None of that ever happened. Don't look.
Yours was a Hawaiian driver's license, right?
Yeah, it was. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Now, do you guys go in? I read that you do this, that you wear like ventilation masks. Do you think that's part of the thing? Like people see you go in with these masks and they're like, "Oh, that shit's legit." Like they got camera. And I think for the most part, especially people in the United States, when they see somebody with a camera, they just think that shit's legit.
I definitely try to use that to my advantage. As far as areas where you're not really able to sneak in, you're kind of on the side of a busy road, and everybody's going to be able to see you walk right in there. So you try to dress nice. There's been times where I carried a clipboard and wore a collar shirt, and they're just they're like,
you should get a T-shirt that says like asbestos mitigation, something like that.
I could go that far. There are people that will play that up, but the only thing that I've read that you don't want to go too far is then you can get some kind of impersonating a person of whatever
authority. Yeah.
Yes. The one there. Okay. Here's one for you. After Hurricane Sandy, all the damage at Seaside, I was like, oh my god, I gotta get down there and film that. That'd be too cool. So I kept trying, and they're stopping you at the bridge. They're saying, hey, only residents, only members of the press, only police. I was like, okay.
You didn't show up with a FEMA shirt, did you?
No, that would have been nice though. All that I did was because I went into Photoshop, made myself a press pass, laminated it, put it on a lanyard, drove back, and just kind of when I got to the checkpoint, kind of waved that, and they waved me right in.
That's
so
scary.
then I was walking around, and they saw me trying to get on the beach a couple times, and state troopers came, kept kicking me off, and then there was that happened maybe like 2 or 3 times.
You left once Chris Christie kicked everybody out off the beach, right?
Yeah, they're like, you can, if you live here, you can go to your house, but as far as going on the beach, you can't go that far. I mean, every single street corner had a state trooper on it, so it was like nobody's getting on the beach. And
Sounds like Camden.
no, there's no cops in Camden.
There's no beaches in Camden either.
No.
No.
But basically, then there was like a construction crew walking on, and I kind of just got in the mix with them and walked on with them. And then they figured I was somebody. And then when I actually got to the wreckage, the one guy was like, "Oh, hey, do you want me to stop for a minute so you can?" And I was like, "Oh, no, you finish up. I'll just wait." And then so they kind of just embraced me, and that gave me about whatever a half hour to go and get my footage, and then just got out of there and got the hell out of there as quick as I could. So. So there are times where, yes, definitely trying to look apart, look professional, act like you're supposed to be there. It's usually the best bet. You don't want to be wearing.
Yeah, Rick and I struggle with that at work ourselves.
What do we struggle with?
Just trying to look professional.
No, what are you talking about? I look professional all the time. Look at me. Hey, so what I really like about your videos, and you talked about it before, you put like these historical tidbits at the bottom of the video, almost like one of them VH1 like pop-up video things. And unlike a lot of the explorers that I did watch before I found yours, like I had to fucking mute the videos because they were so annoying, talking about just random shit or like trying to play it up as like a ghost paranormal video. That's what but I kind of appreciated about yours is that you let the video kind of speak for itself. When you guys go to places, do you remain that quiet, or is that just editing? Because that would be kind of eerie if you just went in there and didn't say a friggin' word to each other the whole time. And it's you and your girlfriend, right?
Yeah. Fiance now.
Oh, fiance! Congratulations.
Oh.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean we're pretty quiet. There are times where we'll talk and I'll turn the camera off, but usually we're quiet because we're trying to listen because we don't know if somebody else is in there or whatever. So you're trying to be as aware of what's going on as possible. So yeah, we kind of do walk through there like ghosts.
All right. It's kind of weird when you watch your videos, especially after watching some of the other ones where they're like so boisterous going through these places, and then you watch yours, you don't really say anything. So how do you guys communicate? You just like hand signals or what?
I guess whisper. There are times where people will hear us trying to talk, and they're like, "Oh my god, I heard a ghost." So I was like, "No, that was me."
This is kind of a two-part because I want to know, like, for you personally, and then maybe if you could talk as a community. Do you do this full time? I see like a lot of the people and trying to get this interview and trying to get like an urban explorer was very hard because many of them were on the road and they were like, well, where I'm at, there's no Wi-Fi, I can't get on. So I do appreciate you coming on. It is awesome. But do you think like a lot of the people that do this, and I don't know how connected you are with the community, do they do this full time and like live out of their cars and shit? Do you do it full time and live out of your car? Like how does the whole thing work?
Nah, I mean that would be nice. Really, it's just a hobby. Whenever we have time, we'll take a trip. We'll go drive out somewhere. But I'm sure there's at least one person that does it full time. There is another channel that it seems like he has an endless amount of money to drive around and go to places. So that must be nice. But
who would that be? Because I probably contacted him.
What's that? It'd be Adam the Woo.
No, I contacted Dan Bell, I believe. And
I've seen that name. Yeah, I'm not as familiar with him. But no, I mean there's a few guys that do this a lot. I'm not sure what their situation is, but
so you guys don't go to
really
like
just
you don't go to conventions.
Scraping together a couple bucks for gas money and just going out. So
you got your eye on any new places coming up in the future, or what?
There's always a running list. There's more stuff than I'll ever have time to do. Yeah, I mean most things from my point would be a long drive, but yeah, there's some epic spots that I definitely want to hit before they get demolished. So we'll see.
You ever heard of Norwich State Hospital out in Connecticut?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a well-known.
Jay, shut up. Sorry. Shut up. Stop asking him rookie dumb noob shit.
Me and my Google.
Which is part of what's kind of crazy. Like, obviously, I don't, whatever, you can mention that one. There's people that, if you've noticed, usually my videos are really vague. People get really bad about name dropping because they don't want the you talk about like the urbex community. The community is kind of there's kind of like different groups of it, but for the most part, I do my own thing. But there's definitely communities where it's very secretive. If you find a cool location, it's not like, oh, everybody, I check this out, I found it. Everybody's like keeping it a secret because this is their special spot and it's preserved. A lot of the well-known hospitals are already looted, graffitied. All like the scrappers got there and took all the scrap metal. There's places that are lesser well known that are more preserved, and like those are like the real gems because you're gonna find. It's almost like the day it's like the apocalypse. You walk in and it's as if everybody just died and the place was left in the perfect condition that it would have been left in. Like the community definitely tries to keep their good locations a secret, and they only share it within the community. So, which was part of I never thought the channel would. I never really thought people were going to watch it. We just uploaded it to share with our friends and stuff. And then once it got bigger, it was like, okay,
it's like a job.
People are getting mad at us because we're putting these spots online. So they are. Well, let me be very careful not to be like. I can give you information about it, like you said. There's like the pop-up slides, but I don't want to say too much because then everybody's gonna blame me if something happens to it,
Yeah, I guess, but at the same time, you kind of have to do that because if you just go to some random spot, nobody knows where it is. It's like if a tree falls in the forest, it's like the same deal. Like you got to tell people where it's at. You've done like the abandoned insane asylum, psychiatric hospitals. You did friggin' underground mine, caves, factories. You did a trailer park, amusement parks, missile bases. I saw you did an abandoned fucking city that was on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, you've done some creepy fucking places, man. And there's tons more that are on the list, but I just can't remember them off the top of my head. But where do you find all the places? I know you just said like you kind of keep them to yourself, so it's not like you could just Google these places and find them.
Y'all just see something and I'll be like, oh man, like there is something back there. I gotta keep a note of what intersection this is and come back and take a look. But yeah, I mean, you can find it online sometimes. It's not that easy. Like you can't just type in, creepy abandoned hospital, but you find stories. You'll find an old newspaper article about some place that shut down, and then I'm like, okay, well let me go to Google Maps and see what it looks like, and then you see the parking lots all overgrown and cracked. So I'm like, all right, well, that looks like it's pretty good. Maybe we'll check that out. So
does it lose some of its flair if people have been there before? Like if you noticed, like you were mentioning earlier that some of the places are run down, they're already graffitied over. Does it feel like you're not like Ponce de Leon? You're not like the first person to jump onto this place. Does it kind of take away?
No, not really. It's just like different character. It's almost more interesting because then there's another aspect to it that here it is. This used to be a functioning place, and it's like, and here it is after whoever got to come in and treat it however they wanted. So it changes it. It doesn't really take away from it, but it's obviously a lot crazier when there's nothing broken. It's just all dusty. Obviously, that's like you think horror movies and stuff. I mean, it's like you're really, if you spend 6 hours in the place, you're like, when you come back out and you see cars moving around, you're like, oh right, like the world is still here. And some of the ones that are broken up, it's kind of just like really cool scenery. It's a different feeling, but they're both equally pretty cool.
And I don't think this is your thing at all. I don't take this from your videos, but like, which are the creepiest things that you've been in? I mean, do you have any close encounters while you guys are exploring? I know you mentioned before the scrappers, so like maybe drifters or scrappers or anything that you think is like, paranormal that you run into, like potential dead bodies or places where crimes took place. I noticed in the one video where you guys did the abandoned baseball field, you pulled up on a spot that had all these like used condom wrappers. I mean, it didn't look like a romantic destination, so God knows what happened there.
Yeah. Oh man, there's a little bit of all of that. There was one day where there was like maybe 3 locations I was gonna hit, and I spent a little bit of time in the one, so I kind of ran out of time, and I skipped one, so I just drove home. I passed by it, and I was like, you know what, just not today. And then like 2 days later, I seen the news. I probably passed by there around like let's say like 2 p.m. and no, I don't remember what time, but basically like there was a scrapper that who went in there looking to steal scrap metal, didn't realize there was still electricity running to it, and he electrocuted himself and he died. The same day that I was going to be there. So if I did do that, I was definitely going to be the person that found him. So I don't know if that would have been a cool video or if that would have just ruined it. And I
What
wouldn't
do you
wanted to
do
post
as the unknown cameraman at that point? Do you lose it all and like just, hey, here I am, found a dead body, whatever, or do you just say, sorry, dude, like somebody else will find you?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. I was like, that would have left me with
That's a dilemma.
I probably would have posted it and then just whatever I had have somebody else like share it, like, hey, here's an anonymous tip to local police to go get them. But I was alone that day, so that would have been, if I was exploring alone and I found that would have definitely been something, because it was like literally I would have been there hours after it happened, so it would have just been fresh body. But
that's still pretty insane.
the other question you said,
Anything creepy though?
It would have been, yeah. It would have been a good video, I know that.
Oh, I'm sure you got millions of hits for that one.
The probably the scariest thing that happened, just because it was so weird. We were down like the Atlantic City area. There's a big kind of like a electric control center, I guess it was. It's like massive square footage. It was like the size of a Walmart, maybe bigger, multiple floors. I had been scoping this out for a while. There was no way to get in. I mean, we walked around the whole building. Everything was sealed up, and kept coming back to it. Eventually was able to find a way in. So it was like, not saying forced entry, but there was a way in. And so we were like, okay, we have to be the only people here. Like nobody else is in here. There's nothing going on. And as soon as we got in, we heard somebody inside, and it was like, all right, what is that? So we came out, and then I think it was like the next day. Like I think that was enough for us to be like, no. The next day we went in. We were in there for hours, and this place, like I said, this place is huge. And we get to basically the basement, which there's a driveway that kind of goes on an incline down to a loading dock, kind of like a big metal gate door that you would roll up.
Right, like a garage door kind of.
So like think of how big this place is, and we've been in every other room this whole time, nothing happens. Like the second we get in this basement, we hear a car roll up, like right up to the gate. And we hear a car door, and then somebody starts banging on the door. Like, I don't know if they were banging on it, if they were, like, shaking it, trying to open it. And we just froze, because we were like...
what did you do?
We just stood there. We were like, does somebody know that we're here? Because, like, they came right to where we were. We ended up kind of circling back and hiding in one of the back rooms and just turned all the lights off, and we just waited. But then we were like, I don't know who it is. If they're scrappers, they got box cutters and shit. We're in here. They're looking for money. We got cameras. Like fuck. So
yeah, no shit.
We like tiptoed up the steps, found a ladder, got on the roof, and peeked over where they were, and there was no car. So then we went back in. Like I said, we're always really quiet because we want to know. So we're tiptoeing through this place, listening. And of course, the one entry point that we had to get in is on the opposite side. So we had to go all the way back through this place. We got out, and then that was it. But out of everything that happened, that probably was the scariest. It was something stupid like that, but it just, the way they just came right up to where we were just kind of shakes you up,
Yeah, no shit. Did you guys ever have a little piss coming out your pant leg doing this stuff? Like when you guys are
nothing like that. I mean, like I said, I enjoy it. It gets the heart going. But
I mean, you must have balls of steel to go into these places.
It's kind of like really calculated. Like I always feel like I never push myself past what I think I'm good with. Like, I always feel like, okay, if something happens, like, here's my plan, if I see somebody, I got my tripod ready to swing at them, or here's the nearest door. Because there's been times at one of the hospitals, it had a fire about, let's say, like 8 years before we went there. So the roof was exposed, rain was hitting it. And this is like 4 floors up, and all of the rain had gotten to the wood, and the whole floor was like wet cardboard. I mean, you could jump and you'd go right through it. And we were still up there. We were finding the beams, and we're walking. And it got to the point where there's so many holes in the floor. I'm looking down, and I'm just seeing nails sticking out, 4 floors down. And it was just like, I want to keep going, but I know that this, like, enough is enough. So there's times where we turn back and we're not happy about it. But as far as like balls of steel, I don't know. I mean, maybe if I really push it, I would say that. But
I'd be the guy out in the car. I'd be your lookout for you.
Yeah.
Nah, y'all go on in. I'll be out here. I'll make sure nobody bothers you.
there's been a few times where we had a friend that would back out, and we're like, good. You call us if somebody comes. Like I'd feel so much better having somebody watching out for us, because there's times I feel like I'm looking out the windows the whole time. The one hospital, we saw the security guard sitting out front, and we were checking on him. We're like, he thinks he's protecting the place, and we're inside like, all right, he's there, all right, we're good. So
Most of those guys don't give a shit, though. Like the building I was talking about earlier, I know the guys that work at that building, and they don't fucking care. they do their rounds. They're not very attentive to anything. So, what's like coolest or like most bizarre thing? I know you mentioned before. So, and I heard you say it in another interview too. Talk about the blood slides, which is pretty fucking crazy. Like if you're a Dexter fan,
exactly.
Anything that you guys have found aside from the blood slides that you were like, what the like? How is this still in an abandoned building?
Man,
I stole your thunder with your blood slides, didn't I?
yeah, no, I mean that's good. That was a cool one, but I should. There's so much other stuff. I'm sure I could think of something. I mean, there's things that like weren't that crazy, but it was just cool. Like we went to an abandoned restaurant, and the bar was still fully stocked. Like if we want, like there was beer, like tequila, and like mixers. Like it was all just still like we could have gone in there and had a really skunked beer or something,
Yeah.
but.
Could have had diarrhea for a month.
Yeah, like it was just cool that it was still there. It wasn't anything crazy, but man, like crazy stuff. I mean, probably something from one of the hospitals, because that's the kind of stuff that's just so weird. The obviously the blood slides. There was like the dispensary. It was just weird. All this medication still sitting there.
I'm really surprised that medication. No, like. Crazy homeless drifter scored that medication. Was like, oh fuck yeah, like 20-year-old Klonopin, like, hook me up.
Yeah.
I can't believe that shit was still there.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, and even if you saw it, it's like it was a little ransacked. It was kind of like those. I mean, the one room it was like the whole wall of them, but the other room it was almost like stacks of like lock boxes that had been opened. So maybe. Somebody hit the jackpot and their pockets got full to the point where they couldn't take anymore, and that's what we saw that was left. Who knows?
Now, you can't think of anything. If you happen to think of something, throw it out there. But you guys never take anything from any of these places, right?
No, I mean the code of honor is supposed to be take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints. Because you don't want to. It's not really about that, and it's also like I said, like. The coolest thing is when you go to a place where everything's still there. So obviously I'd be a dick if I ruin it for the next person if that's what I like about it. The only time that we basically would make an exception is like if we know the place is getting demolished like the next week or the next month, and it's definitely going to end up in a dumpster anyway and nobody else is going to enjoy it, then yeah, we'll take a little like memoir, like little
just like one
to remember, but it's not like
2 Klonopins, nothing.
Yeah, just a couple.
Yeah.
There's times where it's tough because you're just like, this is valuable shit. Like I could go home and sell this on eBay, but it's we never had to do that.
And now your house is filled with movie chairs and bowling ball lanes. It's crazy to me how many places had movie theaters and bowling alleys watching your movies. Like the craziest places would have why would an insane asylum have a fucking bowling alley? You're nuts. Here, take this 20-pound ball.
I mean, those are the lucky ones, because they never left that place. So back in the day, those were communities. Like the people that worked there usually didn't even leave. Like everybody lived on campus, and that was their little closed world. But there were other hospitals where it was like you didn't get to go bowling. They're like, "Here, we're gonna tie you up, have fun."
Have you gone to those hospitals yet?
It's the one in Marlboro in Jersey. Like the orderlies they're feeding them their cigarette butts and shit and laughing at them. So there's horrible shit happened in all those places.
No, I'm sure. You know what's crazy about some of the videos? I didn't see it too much in your videos. I saw it in a few other people's videos, maybe in yours. A lot of these places, and you were talking about having, wasting money when they knock it down. They leave all this priceless stuff left in the building. But a lot of these places leave their fucking electric on. Like, who's paying for this shit? Do you go into a lot of places that still have electric?
Every once in a while. I would say I can't really recall which ones they were, but it's probably just state property, just where it's just overlooked, or just, who knows, like Greystone is the one that just got torn down up in was it Morris Plains up in North Jersey? And the electricity was on up until pretty much the very end. There was all the exit signs were lit up. If you turned on one of the security monitors, you'd get static. I think for that one they left it on because there was apparently security alarms still active on it. So maybe that's why they'd be keeping the electricity on, if they wanted to have some security. But no, I mean,
it seems like an expensive way to keep security going.
Yeah. But no, I mean, you saw the psychiatric hospital. I mean, that place was pretty torn to shit. It closed in the early 90s, and I mean some of the tunnels were flooded. And we got into the basement, and there was a generator running. It was like, there's not even electricity here. Why is that running? Like, and it's flooded. So I'm like, this is dangerous. Like, I was afraid to step in the wild. I'm about to get electrocuted. I'm about to die down here. So,
a lot of people notice that and you talked about this earlier, the quantity of your video releases has gone down recently. When I was doing my research on you, a lot of people that really clamor for your videos were wondering, what happened to you. And there was people that actually, there were like rumors spreading like that something did happen. I don't know if you want to like put those rumors to rest. It sounds like you're doing okay.
Yeah. I saw somebody saying that I had died, and I left a comment.
It was like on Reddit or something.
Yeah, I was like, that's crazy. You should show me that article. Like, I'd love to read that. No, I mean, everything's good. It's really just a matter of just like time. It's just getting harder and harder to get out there and do it. So, for a little while, we kind of just took a break. It was like you said, you do this full time, and it was like every free minute we had, we were doing it. And it kind of, not like it turned into work, but if you do it so often, it's just like, okay, another hospital, it's all starting to like look the same.
Right.
So it kind of gave it a break for a while, but we're definitely very much still in it. It's just a little more spaced out, but I don't plan on stopping. And I do feel bad that we're not putting them out like we used to, but maybe someday we'll get at least back up to doing one a month or something.
One of the other things that you guys did try to do an IndieGoGo a couple years back.
Yeah.
And it didn't go so well. And don't feel bad, man. Like, we have filmmakers that come on here and they do really shitty with their IndieGoGos and, Kickstarters or whatever. And people just don't give the money to do them.
I mean, I felt bad even asking for money anyway. So it was like, you know what, good. I was like, hey, if people do want to help, that's cool, but I'm not expecting it. So
yeah, and that was a long time ago. I think that, like, when I saw your IndieGoGo, it was like 2012 or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
One of the cool things, like, you guys got hundreds of thousands of views on your videos, like, per video. You guys have to get some kind of like ad revenue from YouTube, right? Does that kind of keep everything going? Does that give you a little motivation to keep doing the videos?
That does, and that was kind of the solution for that. Where I think when we had the IndieGoGo, we weren't at that level yet. So after that, it was like, all right, well, if people want to support us, they can help just by watching. I'm not asking anybody for money, but whenever you watch our videos, you are helping us. So that seemed like a pretty good trade-off, you can skip a little ad in the beginning, and it's basically like you just gave a donation. So
like, what's next for you guys? You guys got like a hot list of places to go to after you like pull all the stuff together? Would you consider also like bringing other people with you, or what? Or is this just a 2-person team?
If you want, we could follow you around and talk the whole time.
Yes. We'll talk. It'll be the poop culture episode.
Yeah.
You guys can wear masks.
We could add a third dimension to the show. As long as we can get it on, we just need to get it on some of your YouTube revenue, and everything will be fine.
All right. Well, I'll definitely be sharing the podcast. So hopefully somebody will check that out. When you guys first emailed me, I saw poop culture, and I was like, "What is this? My doctor?" Like,
well, you'd be surprised how many listeners we get that are looking for a science show.
We cultured your poop, sir, and
what were the results?
Well, we know what you did in that insane asylum, and it's not good.
But actually, I'm just remembering too. Part of what had slowed us down was it sucked because I didn't want to say anything until it was official that we had. We hadn't really tried to make this happen, but several, not actually networks, like I guess like Discovery Channel doesn't really produce their own shows, as there's like a million of these little companies that work for everybody. So a lot of these people started reaching out to us, and they were like, we've seen it, we want to get you on TV, and we're like, oh, this is cool. We have to like you said, like the videos. A lot of them aren't great, like the filming is a little sloppy at times because I'm worried about not stepping on nail. Like there was a time where I stepped on a nail and it almost went through my foot. Ugh. So every once in a while you sacrifice some of that. So we were looking at, all right, whatever place we film next, it's going to have to be multiple cameras. We need to give it a little more of a TV format, not without deviating too much from the way we do it now. And we kept talking we went through maybe 5 or 6 different groups, calling them, emailing them, all these talks. And then it just kept deviating from, we like the historic preservation. We like the danger. You teach people safety. It's like Bear Grylls or something, here's how you can protect yourself doing this. And then the historic thing, it's like American Pickers or whatever. And then they're like, we really like that, but what if we completely changed the entire format and made it like a competition-style reality show?
No.
And we're like, but that's, I'm like, that's not really what we do, though.
Unless it was like The Running Man. If it was like The Running Man.
Or Celebrity Deathmatch in an abandoned building.
Yeah, we can get people that would be on with that. Daniel Baldwin would jump on that in 2 seconds.
Yeah, he can make that happen for you. We'll call him up.
Beat up, who was it? Was Bill Murray or Kevin Who did you say?
Who?
There's somebody else. You said that Danny wanted to fight.
Yeah.
Danny was like, "Oh yeah, I'll fight him." I can't remember who.
Oh, I think at this point Dan would fight anybody.
I think Howie Mandel. He really had it in for him.
Howie Mandel. Who was the Billy Crystal?
Billy Crystal.
That's who it was. That's who it was.
He wanted to shoot Howie through a billboard, but he said Billy Crystal.
Splatter him on the billboard, I think is what he wanted to do. He would beat the
shit out of Billy Crystal.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. My money's on Danny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'd say Danny would take that one. But it was just a shame because we were holding off on putting anything out because we were waiting to film like all the locations we had. We were like, well, when we film this, we're going to have to do it in the format that we agree on. And then all of those deals essentially just kind of evaporated because it was like, well, is it really worth doing a show if it's like basically not the like we have a certain way we like to do it. Why change that just to get on TV or whatever? So we just were kind of like whatever. Like I don't want to make like who we are a reality show. So unfortunately all those didn't pan out.
Well, you know what? These days if you just keep doing what you're doing, you can create your own reality show on YouTube. Like
I'm sure he knows that at this point.
Well, I'm here to tell you. I know these things.
So I would say whatever's coming up in the future will hopefully be produced at least a little bit better. That we might try to shoot it, a little bit more like a reality show, or not even a reality show, just at least like a better smoother shots and all that. Because like I have a steady cam, but it's like it's hard to walk around with a bunch of gear on you.
Oh,
I
yeah.
try to be.
You're using like a DSLR, right?
Yeah.
You're not using just like a extreme
GoPro.
GoPro, yeah. You're not using one of those.
Because I mean, and like maybe I would benefit from that because then you don't have to worry about it. But then you're not really getting exactly what you want to film, and you can't really get up on the details. It's like a
Use
static.
that as your second camera.
Yeah, you should put that on your helmet, and then
it wouldn't be a bad idea
camera.
to have that as a backup.
You can get like crazy B-rolls, running with like a lesser camera, and you could probably make it look pretty cool too. Like if you don't want to focus in on stuff. You can use that secondary camera as like, just walking down the hallway, and then when you're ready to focus, you use your DSLR. You can get some fucking insane shots.
You can do like some stop motion with some of the stuff in the room and really creep people out, And you can use your GoPro on the helmet.
Yeah, that's the one thing you guys don't really, a lot of the urban explorers, I think they just bank on it. People, like, I can just tell by their descriptions on YouTube, it's like, run in with the cops, possible dead body. Like, that's the one thing that it kind of hooked me to yours was you didn't have any bullshit stuff. It was like, hey, we're in an insane asylum.
Yeah.
And here's the video. So I thought that was pretty
it's anti-clickbait, all that crap. And like that's part of the thing. Like I liked what you were saying, that you were able to pick up on that the videos I let them speak for themselves. Like here it is. It's just. This is like your own point of view almost, which is part of what would make it hard. Not that the multiple camera angles wouldn't hurt it, but like doing a TV show would take away from a lot, because obviously we can't actually trespass. So right there, everything's going to be staged and just look like we're doing this. But here's the real thing about the videos, though, is that I mean, I don't scope it out first to make sure that it's good, and then I get the shot. I mean, when I turn a corner with the camera, I'm seeing it for the first time too. So it's like it really is like that. The footage, like there's been times where I realize I haven't even looked around at all. The last 20 minutes, I've been walking through this place via the LCD screen on my.
That's the worst thing you can fucking do.
So like, I've been so sucked into filming it that it's like when I turn the corner, if there was somebody there, I'd see them on the screen before I'd actually see them. So it's like it doesn't really get much more real than that.
I'm surprised you haven't come across any like little bum communes living in some of these places.
Well, you guys you've had some interaction, right?
Just a little bit. There's never like a big hub or anything. When we were in Camden, there was definitely. This was in like I think January too. It was a few years ago. It was a really cold winter, and there was beds set up, and somebody up there had like a little like stove thing hooked up to a car battery. So somebody was definitely set up living in there, and you know what it is too. Like exploring during the day, a lot of those people are out doing whatever. They that's like just place they would come to at night. So I'm
9 to 5 job. They work at the bank or they probably have good jobs. Just trying to save a little bit on rent.
You haven't been to Camden.
Yeah, really not.
So yeah, I would say probably the main reason that we don't really run into most people is just the time of day that we're out there. You'll see all the bags of clothes, and like you could tell somebody was just there. I mean, you can smell the sweat and everything, but only maybe only a handful of run-ins with actual people, and so far most people have been pretty cool. There was one time where the dude was definitely. I mean, I don't want to say definitely on drugs, but it could have just been crazy. But it was like the one time we didn't have the camera on, of course.
Yeah, and the guy on bath salts.
Because that always makes shit better.
Yeah. And then being, we're like, all right, well, nobody's gonna believe us, so we have to go back and film this dude. So we go back, and he's not there, and we're like, where the fuck would he have gone? Like we were just here. So we, it's I think it's like the abandoned tweaker house is what the video is called, and like we're walking around the house basically like yelling, where are you at, dude? Like come out. And like everybody's been analyzing the videos because you can hear him kind of like we said something and you can hear the dude snicker, and we were like, fuck, like he is here. Like we checked and then eventually we were like, he had to have been in the basement. Like that dude
was jerking off.
He was above you doing the Spider-Man on the ceiling.
But thanks a lot for coming on, man. And if you have anything to plug on your way out, the floor is yours.
Yeah, it's just youtube.com/the Unknown Cameraman. It's the same for Facebook, I think. Twitter, it's just the Unknown Cam. But really, just if you look, like, the only thing you're going to want to really see is the YouTube video. So the Unknown Cameraman on YouTube. There's also an extras channel because I had some other stuff that wasn't quite good enough to fit in the format of everything else. So I throw in some like picture slides and random little clips on the extras channel. So there's definitely hours and hours of stuff to watch on there.
No, it's great. Yeah, thanks for answering all our questions, coming on, and thanks for sending us that photo of what you really look like. We're going to post that up on the site later.